Thank you for joining me. My name is Derrick Michaels, and this is Thursday Thoughts, Episode 3. All right, thanks for joining me again. If this is the first time you're checking this out and you might not know who I am, I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm based here on the East Coast, and I am a working saxophonist and an improviser and a teacher and a concert presenter. That's my life. In normal times, when we're not 8 months deep into a pandemic scenario, currently in this period of 2020, I am a saxophone player and a guy that mows lawns in the neighborhood and somebody who spends an inordinate amount of time vacuuming the carpet, hand washing dishes, hanging out with my cats, and figuring out what's going on in the here and now and what might happen in the future. So, with all of that in mind, it's striking me this week as very interesting that I'm at the end of an era in my own personal journey, and that era is a 10-year period, a decade of unbridled creativity, enthusiasm, and obsession about being a saxophone player, an improviser, a creative person in the world functionally, not just in my head. The years that preceded that, from age 21 up to the point of 25, just about a 4-year period of time, I had a really difficult time stepping up to the plate in terms of practicing regularly. The process of practicing was excruciating, and I had a very hard time finding joy in that process at that time. In ways that I might get into more in future episodes. But let's just suffice it to say for now, I did my best for a while, and that wasn't enough. And I thought that maybe the saxophone was not for me at that time. So I explored other aspects of life. And then when I turned 25, I had sort of an aha moment that led to some clarity for once. And that clarity led me to realize a few things, kind of vaguely at the time, but very, I had a very single pointed focus. All I really knew was that I was supposed to be a saxophone player, supposed to be an improviser, supposed to be collaborating with brilliant people all the time. That was all I really could tell. I knew there was a scene I wanted to be a part of, and I knew that actually cultivating some sort of a positive relationship to my instrument was going to be instrumental in that journey. So I committed to that in 2010, right around my 25th birthday, which was in November of that year. And I had already had a couple of opportunities for some of the collaborations that I'm speaking of, enough to give me an idea that, all right, clearly this is possible. Clearly this is happening already. I want to enjoy what I'm contributing to these groups as much as I enjoy what everybody else is contributing. What do I have to do to make that happen? But it was still largely hypothetical because most of my days were spent alone and hypothesizing about what it could look like if. It was a lot of what if and a lot of time alone in a room trying to learn how to get comfortable with that process of practicing that was so frustrating for me up to that point. It's been interesting going through this 10-year process and meeting a lot of other people who, like me, struggled at some point or are struggling currently to find how to invite curiosity into the practice room and create a sense of safety in the practice room where we are sitting down with our craft, looking into that craft, looking for where the art is, and then engaging with it in little manageable bits. I think something that really freaked me out a lot in that early period when I wasn't doing any practicing was just the sheer number of people who I had met who seemed to really love being in the practice room 8-10 hours a day. Most of them seemed to be either very serious jazz musicians or very serious classical musicians who knew when they were 3 years old exactly what they wanted to do. These are the lies we tell ourselves about other people because we fear that maybe this person has a drive that I don't have. that competition-oriented perspective then leads us to try to mimic somebody else's behavior, and we may end up chasing things that we don't love, that are shadow versions of the thing that we really do love, because we think that that's what we have to do. I am happy to report that even though there are things that I would definitely have chosen to do differently in the course of this last 10-year period, that journey has been mine, like 100% uniquely my own journey. And as many mistakes as I made and things I did wrong, errors in judgment, and refusals to take on certain kinds of responsibilities, or laziness in practicing, or any of the things that all of these at one point, maybe even concurrently, were happening, me simultaneously getting in my way while I'm trying to scale the mountain. So many things I would have done differently, and yet I'm able to really appreciate, like, that was my journey. And where it's led through 10 years of being able to play tons of concerts with tons of musicians, finding a tight-knit crew that I love playing with, who I can be myself musically with, who support me through all these creative changes that I've gone through, and then into the last few years being a leader, and just finding finding my voice in more ways than just here's what my saxophone sounds like when I play it, and being even willing to question that voice and to retool it, and to break things down and start from the beginning again. That's happened in every aspect of my creative journey up to this point. And so with that stuff in mind, from where I come from, I look at a period like we're in 2020 as an invitation to just say, you know what, cool, you may as well start over again, get right back down to those parts of this thing that make you feel like you're coming alive, that inspire you, that feeling that happens in flow when you just lose track of time. That's kind of what I'm after here. That's what I'm after in my day-to-day. And I think that if you have any opportunity to do that for yourself, it might be some of the best investment you can make in a period like this as a creative person. We all had a period that hopefully we can remember a little bit about, that led, the initial period of immersion before we became the identity of Derrick Michaels, the saxophonist, right? Or whatever your name is with the thing it is that you attach after that. Whatever you might put on a business card. There was an initial stage where it wasn't a part of your identity yet at all. It was just a thing you were interested in that you started putting some effort into. And early on, it might not have been. For some of us from day one, wow, this is it. And for some of us, it's like struggle. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I like this. And then something happens and there's an awakening. Oh man, I love this. So with that in mind, I think now's a really good time for us all to just make sure that we haven't lost touch with that part of ourselves and that part of what we do and that part of the process. And I think it's possible that some of the most inspiring work that any of us can do in such crazy, weird, uncertain times is just to be willing to step out of the public eye long enough and consistently enough to really deeply nurture the soil that all of our creative flowers have been blooming in for all these years. And it's really possible that your best work is out in front of you, is ahead, is whatever comes next. And I think that it's pretty likely that it will, at least in part, result from the way that we approach a period of time such as this, where we can scramble to try to jump up and down and get people's attention out in the world, or we can take that same amount of energy and focus it all on the thing that we love so much. When we were young, that's all we wanted to do. It was only about like, wow, this thing is great. I just want to do it all the time. And then it became about other stuff. That's just a part of the attrition process, the part of the momentum that happens. You don't owe it to anybody to deliver on their expectations right now, but you do owe it to yourself to nurture the parts of this thing that makes you come to life, so that you can come through on the other side feeling replenished and rejuvenated and full of vitality and creative drive and all of that great stuff. That's why we do this. So I'm going to leave it there for this week. Thanks so much for checking this out. Visit baltimoresaxophone.com if you want to know anything else about what it is that I do. Please feel free to send me a message. I love talking to all you guys. And I will catch you on the flip side. Thank you very much. Have a good day.